Ask the GMs, Episode 6, Call of Cthulhu. Thank you for joining us for part 2 of this episode. Now, RC, as the most recent member to get some, tell us about spells.
I love spells. The last 2 characters that I've had have ended up with spells. In Call of Cthulhu spells, they have a lot more potency, and the cost for doing them is so much higher. As previously mentioned, we summoned the literal devil to open a jar of pickles. I get us out of a situation that we didn't see a way out of, but we're told later it was very easy. Anyways, summoning an elder god just for some quick help is great. The other character that I have in Ian's pulp game has defied gravity, where I can change the orientation of gravity for myself and walk up walls, walk on a ceiling, pretty much do whatever I want.
Yeah, you can do some Inception stuff.
Sick.
Yours.
I love the idea of spells in Call of Cthulhu. I've never attempted to have any kind of access to spells because they terrify me. And I love that about them because they cost something. It's not just, it's almost like, like The Witcher. It's like magic costs. It's gonna cost, and it's gonna be taking out of.
Well, remember, Ian almost had his heart
likely.
sucked out.
Yep. It's terrifying, and that makes it even more awesome.
And not only that, they go at, I think, because Zach sends me, Call of Cthulhu spells every once in a while on Messenger, and sometimes the ingredients that they take to make, they borrow from, would you say, real world mythos?
Like traditional folklore and stuff. If you're referring to the flight spell from witches, yeah, you have to kill an unbaptized male child.
And use his rendered fat to make this poultice to be able to go flying. So it's very dark in that, but it's crazy the fact that they did the research that goes into it to pull from real world mythos and fables and so on and so forth to cast these dark spells.
Okay, Lindsay, not to pick on you again, but tell us about tomes and reading spooky books, because you did that a couple times in Mask.
Also, tomes and even paintings, anything like that. Reading anything. It's funny when anytime Zach is like, and then you find this book, and then he looks at you, and you're like, cool, that's great. He's like, do you want to read it? And then the terror sets in, because in Call of Cthulhu, tomes, reading books, reading ancient books, reading anything like that also comes at a cost, because even just successfully finding the book and then opening it and being able to read it, depending on what kind of skill you have, can be incredibly dangerous for your mental health. You can lose quite a bit of sanity just by reading a book.
Is it bad that the Reading Rainbow theme song went into my brain whenever
Take a look in a book?
It's Reading Rainbow.
Now I just want Call of Cthulhu, Reading Rainbow.
Yeah, I can summon elder gods. Oh wait, I want to say, Zach, remember that one time we had a Greg that had the Necronomicon but forgot that had it?
Not only did he forget that he had it, and he had the OG Necronomicon, he wanted to sell it. No, man, that's not something you could just flip.
I mean, what was the end game there? How much? Wouldn't the knowledge contained be a little more important than any money?
Well, not only that, would you who's gonna buy it, and then do you trust the person buying it?
No, I don't.
You're literally selling a nuclear missile.
Yeah, nah.
You got the Necronomicon. Oh, what? I do? Oh.
Ignored
I
it
forgot.
Completely. After taking lessons to learn Arabic to read it, never even cracked it. I'm like, okay, man.
Cool.
Here's a toy to play with. Forgets about it.
Like I said, tomes and paintings. Tomes and paintings.
Well, to go with spells, tomes, paintings, and monsters, Talk about sanity.
So Sanity, that's pretty fun. It's kind of your alternate health pool, I should say, but also interesting narrative hooks or additions to gameplay that really change things up. Some memorable ones I can remember happening to me. I think I've gone blind a few times actually from just the sight of some unsightly things. I know one time I developed a fear of women. There was that time we mentioned earlier where I just went into an insane rage. And my most recent development, which is probably my most preferred insane thing to do, is have the desire to want to run away from all your problems. So I was in a bad situation there, and it's like, oh, I get to run away. Okay, cool. But I also like the fact that Call of Cthulhu has all the names of the phobias. If I remembered them, I would bring them up. But that's also interesting because, a lot of them are real world phobias. What about you, RC? Do you have any interesting
I've only had the
phobias that
fear of
came
the
up for
dark
you?
so far. The one that I got in Delta Green, and I wouldn't mind having it in Call of Cthulhu too, just because it would be terrifying to deal with, or people would just leave you behind, was catatonia. So whenever I would get too stressed, I would go completely catatonic and unresponsive. And I would just love to have that play out during a Call of Cthulhu campaign, like whenever something really strenuous is happening, and then all of a sudden, boom, and then you're just not doing anything.
It can
Yep.
lead into light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Yeah, that was really entertaining to like play with, because after the first or second time, we didn't know how long it was going to last right away. So I think at one point, I carried your character and just like chucked you in the back of a van, and we drove away while you're like still catatonic.
It was a good blast. Brian, what have you had happen so far?
So at kind of towards the end of our playthrough of Two-Headed Serpent, I grabbed a serpent staff that I had taken but actually hadn't touched like with my hand. I'd used other implements like a cloth or something to like grab it, and I, I don't know. We were trying to get through the jungle, and I thought maybe it would do the same thing as the flame pistol or something would work, and I like pulled it out of my bag and failed my sanity roll instantly, very poorly. I believe I fumbled it and um immediately passed out and had a terrible dream where I was surrounded by snakes and then was consumed by a large snake. Um but I didn't really get to move past that because I think that was the last session we played. And then
Yeah, I know you had I can't say the word, seizures, and you had a death grip on it, and the party had to figure out like how to get it out of your hand.
yes, and as a player, I had an unhealthy fixation on wanting to keep it because I think Lindsay and Zach were like, "Let's bury it with the nuclear warhead that we're about to bury," and I was like, "No, I must keep this. I want this thing."
Oh God, had you guys done that? Like, I think I told you guys when we were playing, you guys are going so far off the rails. I don't know what to do, but I'm loving it. But I believe the mania you developed was a fear of snakes afterwards, and you're playing in a module called Two-Headed Serpent, so it probably was going to come up.
It was 100% going to come up, but I had I had something in my back pocket for that because my character was like he had hypnosis because he was like a therapist. So I was planning on hypnotizing myself to subvert that, or at least make it not a phobia, but at least just an aversion. Depending on you, of course. And then I had one more, and I can't think of it right now.
Well, all I can say is my favorite part of the sanity rules in Call of Cthulhu is I'm allowed to read the most heinous, horrible stuff, you guys, and then just look at your faces and be like, What kind of roll? Like, how much sanity damage, Zach? Like the D20. The one I can specifically remember was Ian looking in that duffel bag in Delta Green.
So good.
What's in the duffel bag?
So
Oh,
good.
it's like a mummified child that's talking to the person with the duffel bag.
That's when Ian went all off the reserve. Like he was. That was his. Was that one of the? That was his last where he was just completely gone.
I think
Or was
he
that
did
right
the
before
clown.
that?
It was right before that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Got you. Right.
Now, Zach, I gotta ask you because I wasn't there. What did it say to Ian? Like, will you be my daddy?
No, it wasn't talking to Ian. It was talking to someone else.
Oh,
Ian just heard it, like speaking.
He just happened to hear it and see. Like, yeah.
okay.
Ooh, blah, blah.
Okay, next topic. I want to call out their editing team and design team, how they lay out books, the fact that they provide you with a ribbon bookmark, the fact that each chapter ends with all the monsters in that chapter. It includes all the spells you're going to cast. It has all the books have a good forward, like, hey, your party members should have this for players, or consider this for players, or in playtesting, we found this and this and this. You get so many good notes and references and like links to historical works. They definitely put the effort in there. And then sometimes you pick up a D&D book and you're like, I paid $50 for that.
And this may be a later comparison thing. I'm not sure how much further along it is in the notes. And I believe Pat may have brought it earlier, where you had bought the expanded version of Rime of the Frost Maiden, and you had me read through just the book of Children of Fear, and I was immediately floored by just the sheer level of content that was available within like the first 30 pages of Children of Fear, and just utterly let down by Rime of the Frost Maiden.
Yeah, we did like a first 30 pages comparison.
It was rough, and you have handouts for both of these, don't you?
Frostmated just has like 2 handouts in the back. That's it.
And if I'm not mistaken, Children of Fear is another one that has a box set that you could get with a bunch of handouts. I know Mask does.
Children of Fear does not yet. Doesn't mean it won't.
And I'll say, as far as the two-headed serpent book Zach got me, I haven't really run any modules for any tabletop system prior to that. But you get into the chapter, you get like a paragraph or 2 synopsis of what's going on in this chapter. Then you get your key characters after that, and what they know or what they don't know. Then you get into the meat of the story, and at the back of that chapter are the monsters and their stats, or the people and their stats that's applicable for that chapter. So to run that chapter, you're just looking in that chapter. You're not flipping back and forth through the book, looking in indexes or grabbing other books. What you have is what you need. So the layout is just fantastic, because I've seen, after going through that, I looked at some D&D modules, and it's like, oh yeah, all the monsters are here in the back. So you got to flip back there to go to this, and then you got to flip over here to look at that. And it's just a nightmare as far as layout is concerned.
Well, not only that, how many modules or Call of Cthulhu adventures or campaigns have we sat and talked about all the stuff we didn't get to? And you guys are thorough players. Like, you guys turn over a lot of rocks.
And technically not Call of Cthulhu, but Delta Green. I know that there was a massive section of that book that we completely glossed over.
Yep.
It's not just fluff either. It's stuff that adds
It's full
to
content. Like, it's not like, oh, like Bill like had a garden. Like, no, it's full content, like full storylines.
Didn't we miss out on going to like Vegas in Delta Green? Like we missed that storyline.
Yeah, you could have gone to
completely.
Vegas. There was a whole other section with like a therapy group. There were a lot of houses you never went to.
But it's always the same in Call of Cthulhu as well. I feel like, and I feel like we always there's always more that we didn't get to, which is always good.
I'm surprised you guys didn't go to Vegas, man. You could have got blackjack and hookers.
Well, we were all 50 at the time, right? It's kind of difficult.
50. We were 50.
Wait, the age 50? Y'all are all 50-year-olds?
How old
Like
was
to
your character,
kick,
Lindsay?
I
Because
can
you were the
kick.
oldest out of everybody.
I was 52. At the
Oh
time.
my god, you might as well have been in the grave at that point.
I know.
That's an old age for any Cthulhu character.
I mean, really, honestly, the penny slots. I mean, come on. I mean, that's where I would have gone.
Yeah. Now, Zach, you wouldn't have wanted to GM for a hooker situation, would you?
We didn't mention it in my pet peeves in the pet peeves episode, but it's one of my secret ones. Don't, as a clown, go down on another character and like while the DM's away from the table and like animate that for all the other players. Because had I been at the table, I would have shot that down, but it happened.
I remember that. Yeah, you definitely walked away for that. I wasn't involved for all our listeners, but it did happen.
Wow. Wow.
I heard that story.
Yep, my response is like, my head is like literally in the fridge getting a beer. I come back, that's happening. It's like, what are you doing? Stop! End scene immediately.
Fade to black! Fade to black!
So for the final part of the episode, we're just going to just spew about what we love about Call of Cthulhu. We're going to talk about all the fun adventures we've played. Starting with Edge of Darkness. This is the one where the old man is dying and left you guys a shack or like a cabin, and you got to go get the gin out.
I'm glad you because I did not remember the name of that one. Had others played it other than me and Luke and RC?
I feel like Brian played it too.
Lindsay has definitely played it with me. We played it at Free RPG Day.
Okay, so
Yep.
we've played different
The
iterations
hobo
of
with
it.
Hoboken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one I let Zach. I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, Zach, why don't you decide what I play? And then he just rolled a dice, and that's what I played.
You played a hobo on the same setting I played a hobo on? Because that was my one hobo
What?
character. That's
Oh,
awesome.
buddies.
Okay. I want to
That's
hear how
amazing.
yours went.
I believe at one point, one of the characters was hungover, and one of the other PCs was hungover. So my character decided to provide them with an old remedy for a hangover, and basically convinced this person to put a bucket on their head.
Yeah. And banged it.
And then I slapped the crap out of it. I said,
So you were just full blown hoboing. Did your hobo
that's how it went.
have an angle to him, or you were traditional hobo?
Oh, traditional,
Okay.
very traditional.
Mine,
down home. Yep.
Mine was an art college student, so he was an artist hobo, but he was still full on hoboing it. I do remember. I think maybe I had a hobo knife fight in the basement of said house. Or Luke was the muscle, and I think I was just egging him on and being like, "Hey, this is my new turf. Like, you get out of here." While Luke's beating the tar out of him. I don't know.
Yes.
That whole scenario did bring to mind, like, wow, art is actually a pretty good Call of Cthulhu skill, because I was able to copy different, like, I don't know, magical markings. I think my guy was painting a pentagram of some sort on the floor or something to ward off the evil that the whole shack scenario was based around.
The whole shack, the climax of the shack is fantastic whenever you finally get around to trying.
Oh, it's bear.
Fucking bear attacks. And not to mention, isn't there there's a girl that's like out in the field somewhere that like full on Evil Dead walks her way up to the house and is like, let me in, and you're like, no.
Yeah, all the spirits were trying all sorts of angles via like fear or pressure or collusion or play to your I don't know, like your good nature or something to get in. So that shack got heated quick.
I believe that even you could get temporarily possessed by them as well. It was wild.
Oh man.
And the Jinn in the attic was pretty much the quintessential boogeyman. Like, oh no, we can't open this door. We
One of
can't
my
do
favorite parts is like, hey, you want to stick your head up in the attic? Hell no!
it.
I'm pretty sure that when that conversation came up, the image that went through my head is like, you stick your head up, and then all we hear is a "Pwathunk," and then your body falls from the staircase that goes into the attic.
That's what they literally put like in the modules. Like that's what happens.
Oh,
Now, Lindsay and Brian will have to lead this next one. Unland, the creepy abandoned amusement park with Tucker Carlson
Oh my
and
God.
his legal aid or his intern or whatever.
His very reluctant intern. Who was the less talked about, ignored, liberal Bush daughter
Yeah.
who was forced into taking this internship
Fox
and then
News.
had to with Tucker Carlson and had to be his personal assistant. Yeah, that was an oof.
Yeah, and I want to get this on record. I know I've said it out loud before, but I want to put it on recorded record. I am so sorry because I felt like I was such a D to you the entire day. But it wasn't to you directly. It was me RPing and doing it to your
It was
character.
beautiful. You don't have to it was amazing. You were doing a beautiful job.
My intern
You
is
were doing a
dead,
great
not
job.
the third one this week. Jesus, save her. Oh, didn't work. Throw her in the lake.
Oh shit, not again.
Straight oh shit, not again. Straight up throws my body in the lake.
And then like the worst part of that is like you
Yep.
reanimated too, so now you're just wet and have like a hole in your chest.
Yep, so I was reanimated and I was like, what the fuck? Like, come on, man.
And because you can't leave Unland, Tucker ran like in a giant circle and ended up by the Ferris wheel, and there was a woman that was like hanging, like she like attempted to hang herself, but she was still alive. And I attempted to save her, and Lindsay, you came back around after you reanimated, seeing me try to save this like random woman.
Yep.
And the situation hilarious, and I'm pretty sure that I lost all sanity, and because of
You
a
did.
giant marionette, or it kept getting bigger, right? It was like a growing
We were in
marionette.
the tunnel. Was it like a
Was
tunnel
the
of
tunnel
love
of
or
love.
something that we
Face-
were in?
face the
Yeah.
Phantom of Truth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, you went totally, yep, you were gone. I was dragging you out at that point.
Yeah. Well, you did make it out. Like you made it to the House of Mirrors, and you had to give up something. I think you had amnesia. You like left with amnesia.
I think that's right. I think that's right. Yep. Yep.
It was
And
fantastic.
and a nice, whatever. I don't know if the bullet left any marks.
Right.
Or no,
Well,
you
No,
stabbed me, right? No, what
it was the
happened? I can't remember.
crazy guy in the park stabbed you with like a pole.
That's right. He stabbed me with a pole. That's what it was.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think I tried to shoot him, but I think I got him, and then I ran up to you, and that's when I prayed to Jesus.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
That's
You
what
did.
Tucker would do is oh Lord, please help me now.
Hopes and prayers.
Now for Pat and RC, do you want to talk about Dockside Dogs?
oh my gosh!
You want to tackle
So
this first,
this
RC?
was my major introductory to the group playing Call of Cthulhu. And I got the youngest character out of the batch that shows up in Dockside Dogs, at least for the group that we had. And I had a blast whenever I was like, all right, yep, they've officially ruined this for me. I have nothing left to gain out of this. I have decided to become the agent of chaos and push the story along. And I killed one of the other players. And it was like, yes!
Oh, it was a fantastic moment. I believe the rest of us were all slack jawed. No, yeah, everybody else was slack jawed. Like, what? So it was a dramatic moment.
Well, not only that, for everyone who doesn't know, it's clearly based on Reservoir Dogs, but this weird subtle twist going on in the background, and going deeper, it gets crazier and crazier.
I will say more to like kind of the smaller points in this, but they were big points to me. We all had these pre-generated characters that all had code names, Mr. Silver, Mr. Green, Mr. Purple, and we all had ties to one another that we got from the backgrounds of our characters, but we didn't know who knows what, and seemingly everybody had a secret. So we're all, trying to guard what we're doing, but we're also trying to work together for a common cause. And it was also interesting, like, I guess, from a scene point of view, it's all going down in this one warehouse. So it was a perfect one off. And I think we found out that Luke had killed RC's character's sister or something, and that's whenever RC just flipped the switch and just jammed a knife in his gut. That was the big shocker for us that no one saw coming, because we didn't know that RC was related to her. So it all devolved really quickly, and everybody's giving each other the side eye, like, what you know.
That sounds rad. That sounds
Well,
like
no,
so much
I
fun.
saved the character sheets just so we could easily run it in the future.
Yeah, because I think the whole time I was an undercover cop, so I was constantly trying to convince people, like, yeah, I'm super scummy like you guys, without trying to get my hands too dirty. Because I think there was a debate on somebody had a girl in the trunk that none of us. I think it was
my
RC's
character's
sister. Is that right,
sister-in-law.
RC? Sister-in-law, and I was like, okay, I gotta pass that I'm with her gang, so like, yeah, I'll tie her up and stuff, and like maybe punch her lightly or look like I'm punching her, but I'm not gonna kill her because I'm obviously a cop and I'll try and stop that. So I don't know, it just had different dynamics for every single character that made it amazing.
Now, Lindsay, you weren't in our Pet Peeves episode, but we did bring up Children of Fear a whole bunch, and I commented it was some of my favorite characters. Did you have anything to add to Children of Fear?
And Children of Fear, I think it was only my second time playing Call of Cthulhu, and we were playing it through Discord, and it was a text-based kind of a deal. And it was, I think that's really, I mean, I loved the first time I played, but I really think Children of Fear is where I kind of fell in love with Call of Cthulhu. I loved everyone's characters. I think everyone really, I think it was just a really awesome experience. I had a fantastic time playing Children of Fear. I really loved Pat's character a lot.
Thank you. Yeah,
He was
I would.
a traitor and kind of a sweetheart of a man. I really liked him. So it was even sadder when he met his demise.
Yeah.
It hurt. I was like, oh man. I was like, I like that
Yeah.
guy.
Because it kind of went into a subject we broached on in earlier episodes, where one of our Gregs was like, what's the point of your character dying, like their story's over? And it's like, your character's death can be the apex of their story, because like
Be a
Lindsay
catalyst.
said,
Yeah.
yeah,
It can be a
yeah.
catalyst. Yeah. Mhm.
I believe Lindsay's character and Rob's characters and other ones is like, okay, we got to get this done because our buddy Hassan Akram, like, he died to help do this thing that we're working on. Just like how I think the Peru chapter in Mask is good for building our connection to Jackson Elias, and then we
Yeah.
go further, and so we have almost this strong tie to Jackson Elias to do those things in Mask.
And I think
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And after your death, I think even the scene where, I mean, when we were in, fighting this thing that we had no chance of beating, and you had already I think you had already gained that madness, so it was kind of like everyone went, "Oh shit, like we're in trouble. Like we like what, we can't leave him." So it was this insane moment. And I think my character had already drawn, and like it was in a bazaar, like there was so many people around. And I think my character had drawn her weapon already at that point. and was going to fire. I said, I'm going to fire. And then I believe it was one of the Gregs we were talking about, actually grabbed my character's arm and told her not to fire because we were in a bazaar, which was insane. I mean, at that point, but it was something that triggered. I mean, that you're clearly to our characters, your character turning, obviously going mad, and things turning so quickly. I think all of that accumulated into a moment where there was just, we built a narrative beyond that between, I mean, we had moments between my character and this Greg character later on that involved a bitterness about maybe I could have saved him if you hadn't, stopped me, or, but like we said, things like that can create a catalyst and then create moments beyond that. It's not, it's a ripple effect. It's going to affect it.
Yeah, my thing about Children of Fear, because like Lindsay, because me and Zach were talking, I think I was enjoying Children of Fear more than Mask myself. We were doing it textually, so I feel like maybe we're able to RP better whenever we're doing it in a textual format versus, in person, you don't have that time to think, or you may, be shy as far as your acting capabilities. So I think our characters were able to come to life more in Children of Fear, and we definitely had a very solid cast that had, just so much story behind them or so much expression to them. And the story itself, I don't know how it concluded because I died and I had to go to work at that time as well. So I wasn't able to participate anymore. You guys didn't finish, did you, Lindsay?
We didn't, no.
Okay, but I don't know if I should spoil it. Did Zach tell you essentially like how it concludes?
No, I don't know how it concludes.
Okay, well then I won't. But
Okay.
the overall arc of how the story went, and we met this, wise mystic named Tenzin, and we're having to do these rituals. Yeah, Tenzin was great.
I love
and
it.
we're having to do these tantric rituals that seem kind of off, like especially in that Mound of the Dead, Lindsay. Is just like, are we sure this is good?
Yeah. Yeah. There was definitely that moment where we're like, okay, take these bone flute and do some stuff. And you're like, oh,
Yeah, dance around with the bones of the dead and play a bone flute.
they're like, all right.
And Timpson's like, it's
It
okay.
seems fine. Yeah.
So he was like our moral guiding light, but there was just other machinations going on in the background. And the other cool part about Children of Fear is, I don't know that much about Indian lore or Hindu or Buddhist lore. So we really were learning more about that part of the world and different things that go on there or different views over there. Like that whole bar situation where Hassan and they walked in there and they're like, no, English gentlemen only. And we're just like, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't even think, I thought I just waited outside, but I can't remember because I was like, I ain't gonna get in here because it was a men's club. I think it was an actual men's club, but I can't remember. But yeah, it was like we were both like, well, screw it. Didn't we go get like kebabs or something? We were like, screw this, bye.
Of this, while Rob does his fancy man thing.
His fancy Frank Sinatra white privilege.
Yeah, he was definitely Frank Sinatra in that.
Oh yeah.
With a killer shot at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you came out or we both came out. I don't remember. We were like, you were like, do you want to get kebabs? Because fuck this. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's go.
And then Zach added a little extra foil for us, your Gaunt character, Zach.
From Stephen King, that's based on Leland Gaunt, but it really motivated like the middle act of the campaign because it's kind of middling right there. And I thought it really motivated everyone.
It really did. I think you used Gaunt very well with our characters' backstories, and like everything to do with Lindsay was messing with her brother that she cares so deeply about, or you were messing with Hassan's like Muslim heritage and the lore of his
Offering the
people,
Sword of Solomon, yeah.
and offering them the Sword of Solomon, and bringing up stuff about the Crusades and whatnot. So your Gaunt character added a lot of depth to our characters as well.
He was great, and I hated him.
Oh yeah, you gotta hate him.
Yeah, I definitely feel I will run Masks again in the future in full, and not Mask, Children of Fear, and I'm excited about that. However, let's talk about Masks. Talk about the big daddy of Call of Cthulhu.
Mm.
All right, well, I don't think RC or Brian have any experience with Mask, right? So I'm sure Zach will revisit it,
I
right?
got that
Zach?
big prop set. I'm going to run it again eventually.
Mask was fantastic to me because the freedom, you're globetrotting, essentially trying to uncover this massive conspiracy that, as I said, covers the globe. And you're really given the tools to freely roam and kind of pick your path. There's obviously, a path that kind of somewhat makes sense. And the cool part is you're tracking this other group called the Carlisle Expedition, who you're following the breadcrumbs that they've left and the clues to figure out what's happened to them. Because your friend Jackson Elias, that was the trail he was on before, he got departed from this world.
Yes, he met an untimely end. Yeah.
But yeah, it was just fantastic all around. We had a good group of characters. Apparently, it was a fad for me and Ian to have sword canes that nobody knew about, but we both found out about each other simultaneously. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you do sword canes? I do sword canes too, bud. I was trying to play a priest there. Ian was playing, we've talked about him before, Thaddeus
The third.
Murdoch.
Oh, Thaddeus. The third. Can't forget the third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard him.
Yeah, you might have heard of him.
You may have heard of him.
And it was the Peru part of Mask, Zach, or did you have to look for that separate and decide
When
to
they
add it?
reprinted Mask, the set I have, they added Peru. So Peru is part of it.
And then probably the best handouts of anything we've ever.
I mean,
ever
come on.
touched.
I felt like an actual, because my character was a private investigator. I felt like a private investigator sitting there going through, actual articles.
Well, not only
newspaper
that, you guys
articles,
also got
and
like
it was-
passports. Like you could have your passport stamped.
Yeah.
Put my stickers in my passport.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was so cool. Stickers that look like stamps. It was. I mean, and like Zach mentioned earlier, the opening the case file. We couldn't get the case file. This what was it?
Psychological file.
It was the psychological like basically a medical file, and we couldn't open it because it was sealed, and with an actual like a medical like document seal. And so I was like, here, and I pulled out my pocket knife and we opened it. I mean, that's like, it was the coolest thing. It was just excellent.
It doesn't shock me that out of anybody, you carried the pocket knife.
Well,
Thank
Brian,
you,
I had mine, but I was also like holding the file at the time.
Yep.
Still.
No, I definitely look forward to running Masks again. It definitely has the legs. It can go the distance. I will put it up against anything, and I'm excited to run it in the future. I'm also going to announce to all of the players on this podcast, so everyone we're talking to right now, that eventually when Ian's campaign finishes, I'm going to run Horror on the Orient Express, and I've got some character concepts ready for everyone. I've got a French strongman, an Italian man of 1,000 faces, an American buckaroo,
Ooh.
a Russian occultist, a posh British spy, and an Arab cat burglar.
Ooh.
Can we call dibs yet?
Not quite yet.
No,
Not
what
quite
we
yet.
just vote for it? I want Lindsay to play the strong man.
Yes. Let's
and we'll
go.
be doing that in Pulp
Or-
Cthulhu.
Ooh, good, fun.
Ooh, the best form. I mean, that's the solid format. I'm partial.
Right. Yeah, definitely my favorite.
And
too.
we didn't mention it earlier, but let's cover it now. The fact that you can play Call of Cthulhu in so many settings. There's Invictus, so you can play Roman. You can play Regency era, so you're in the Regency era with Jane
which I'm
Austen.
really looking
Oh
forward
my
to
god,
doing at some point.
Regency. Ugh.
We can
Me
do
too.
Reign of Terror, so French Revolution. There's Gaslight, so
That was
Jack the
fun.
Ripper. There's 1920s that we're
Ooh.
used to. There's World War II. There's a couple 70s one. And there's modern day. Like, if there are humans, we can do it. We've even done a couple space ones a couple times.
Ooh.
Yeah, I want to do more in the space too. Space horrors are my favorite horrors.
I wrote that down in the ones we've played as the random one shot because I don't remember what it was called.
You talking about the one where you had the gonk droid and you were still Tucker?
Yes.
Oh wait, was that the
Yeah.
murder mystery one? Yeah.
Space Tucker.
Yeah.
Space Tucker was
Yeah.
first.
Oh, with it.
And we all played like famous or iterations of famous
Whoa, he was a
detectives.
famous investigative journalist.
And, yes, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yes.
And he got with one of his
Hey.
fans and got a 6-second sex tape. Not a GIF, a tape.
Yeah.
I think 6 seconds is generous.
Yeah. I figured that was generous. I did enjoy going down to the meeting with everybody in her kimono.
Oh yeah.
That was way too short.
Oh yeah.
Or your NRA card that just says I do whatever I want with a gun.
Yep. Yeah. How'd you bring that in here? Doesn't matter. We're beating Jesse on every roll to go talk to the union president. That was a lot of fun.
And also like you played it so horribly, and you used the crap out of that gonk droid. I thought it was just going to be like a cutaway. You used it in like every scene.
Oh yeah, well it was because I kept creating new things for it. So it was videoing the meeting with the union leader, but we decided it was only going to be in silent film with captions that I got to add later. So, it was going to be like she's talking and it just says communist Reddick. Like just that.
Just
And
propaganda.
what else did it do? Propaganda. Oh, when Jesse had assaulted me from the computer, it printed out a lawsuit for him. And then after he threw that away, it printed out another one that said, "We know you would do that."
Or the fact that like you're like, hey, this mining executive who's horrid person, horrid and terrible, like he's clearly innocent.
Yeah, I mean, I believe I did attempt to delete files from the computer that implicated him on being a horrible person.
You did.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was probably like if you could be the Joker, that was as close to the Joker as you could be.
Anyone else?
I want to do Call of Cthulhu in space.
Anyone else have some stand-up Call of Cthulhu moments we want to call out before the episode ends?
It's not a my moment, but I know a couple of us were there for the time that one of our other players was dragged to hell. Well,
Throne?
yeah, Throne was being polite. There were a number of contested rolls between two different players that ultimately ended up in a natural one and a forced roll of a one into a double natural one and just chucked directly into hell. Call of Cthulhu's got some great story moments in it. They're all just sitting there waiting for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's a good thing about Call of Cthulhu is you're more into the story because, I mean, I do love combat. I like a little bit more action. That's why I lean towards pulp more. But it gets you so quickly into the story and just moving along and all the stuff that entails.
Well, and as unrealistic as it is, it's still got a element of realism based on just general knowledge of a situation that's similar. Like, we're going to summon a god, and then there's like cloven hooves, and you don't know what actually happened, which is probably what would actually happen if you summoned a god, devil, whatever.
My standouts are for Ian, the 96-minute speech he gave at someone else's funeral, but made it about him in the snow.
Yeah.
For Lindsay, it's her taking the pitchfork, because at that point in the game, no one had taken like any real damage, and then everyone's like, "Oh no, you could just die from like a random farmer."
Yeah, I had 8 HP, I think, and you were like, "Well, that does about 6 damage," and I was like, "Well, guys," or 7 damage or something. I was like, "Well, there she go."
For Pat,
And it was Pat, sorry,
it was
go ahead.
definitely you versus the wizard. Bang, bang, bang! 1 damage. Run away!
Get the hell out of here!
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
I think I aspire to create a character or like have. I want a good death scene. I think
I can work with that.
coming up, and I think that's fine.
It's like, I got you.
Yeah,
We make that dream come true.
I'll do my best to ad-lib it too. Like because my character did die in Delta Green, but he just got consumed by a giant like maw. So there wasn't much to RP there. You're just like, oh, I'm gone.
Yeah.
And then Pat, your other one is still my Catholic priest sneaks into the suspected cultist lair. There's a shop boy. I slit his throat, and I feel horrible about it. And then I, as a keeper, make the mistake. The cultist is dead, and he's just like, "Oh my God, thank you, Jesus."
I'm like, ooh. Some you'd agree we wouldn't talk about that. I was not role playing well there, gang. I was a bad priest, okay?
But as soon as you heard, "Oh, it's a cultist," thank Jesus.
Yeah.
Praise Jesus. Thank Jesus.
Slit an innocent young man's throat. Jesus.
You have answered my prayers.
I think sorry, go ahead, Pat.
Oh, I was gonna say memorable moments for me. That hotel, or not hotel, that apartment full of horrors. I was sitting outside as the lookout. I thought this was going to be an in-and-out job. How wrong I was. So my smuggler guy, he's just sitting in the car listening to the Boston Red Sox while Lindsay and Luke are taking a dance with an elder god inside. And, I'm just out there listening to the birds. That's happening. Let's see, some other memorable moments. I love when Ian was in that shipping company, and he was wanting to fill out forms. So he had this cane, and he was just messing up all their paperwork, just causing all sorts of hullabaloo that was just driving them insane while we're all sneaking in the back. Let's see. Anyone else have one on the top of their head while I'm around?
Throwing a flaming dead body over a balcony.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Into the street.
Yeah.
Not even into an alley. It was in the street.
Well, Ian's trying to explain to the hotel manager, like, "Oh, they're just moving around some furniture." And then
Don't worry about that. That's fine.
I'd like to think of the two-headed serpent campaign. Ian goes to attempt to start a poker game with some.
No. I was starting the poker game.
Yeah, you tried to do that, and something happened. Like Ian got looked like the wrong way, and he started a fight.
Ian's like, I'm the cock of the walk. No one's taller than me. And someone's like, okay, we'll try this out.
Yeah. Well, either way, it was like there was about to be like 30 people against the two of you, maybe somebody else. Meanwhile, like I'm with Rob out in the jungle with doing the monkey arms deal. Because hypnotizing a monkey to persuade him to trade his gun for the relic around his, and Zach, I know you like ended the scene with the fight because you like blew up the main dude.
I also started it by shooting the guy because I knew Ian was going to do something horrible.
Yep. I was about to say he also started it.
Yeah, Yeah. Yep.
and finished it.
He did finish it.
He
Well,
did.
yeah, and then Rob just like comes in after the scene is over, just like shooting fireballs into the air.
Me being held by, I think, being held by Ian, jumping out of a plane while Lindsay is flying it, and me shooting guns at the night gods, tearing up the airplane we're in.
Yes, you were on the
Yeah, I was like a
right?
yo-yo.
Yeah.
He was essentially a yo-yo. And as far as that whole big fight at the camp that caused basically a war in a medical aid camp, nonetheless, they faced the enemies that were meant to be of like 5 different scenarios all in one scenario. And I was just running the game like, I don't think you guys are going to live, but somehow it all worked out.
Dynamite.
Dynamite. Yeah.
Dynamite, man.
Pro.
Ian elbow dropping that snake in the temple. I also really liked the little moments I had with your character, Brian, with his psychological capabilities and how I was able to give you insights that y'all weren't necessarily supposed to know.
Yeah, every time there was like a break and I would go to sleep, because I would like my character would like write in his journal because he was like very adamant about that. That was his treasured possession, was his journal. And long term, I was like, oh, this is gonna help my sanity. Yep, this is how it's gonna work. So, and every time I'd like write in the journal and go to sleep, I would have like either a vision or I would talk to somebody else, but I didn't know who they were. And yeah, I'm excited for when that comes back because I'm keeping that alive. We're not. I don't
No,
want
that's fine. Well, actually, I was planning for you to become a pivotal start or character of the story, going in further, just because your capabilities. Because at first, whenever you guys told me like, "Oh, Brian's going to play a psychological character or something with hypnotism," and I'm just sitting there like, "Oh shit, how's this going to throw a monkey wrench in it?" But in all actuality, I was able to give you guys tidbits of information that you wouldn't have otherwise had.
Yeah, it was the parapsychologist mystic. That was it. Yeah, that was the feat, and I took hypnotism or clairvoyance. I think I took clairvoyance, and I had to like sit down. Like I was trying to like find out the why somebody was shooting at us, and it was like the first day, and I had to attempt a role play. All right, I'm gonna try and get into these people's heads.
I
And
think.
then
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Lindsay. I was just going to talk about Anne, the Winchester heiress.
Oh no, you go ahead. Talk about Annie.
Well, that was definitely one of the first characters I ran into that was just like, money solves all my problems, but she had that kind of wild girl edge to her.
Mhm.
And I had some big plans for you two involving your mechanic friend that helped you work on your plane.
Oh
We
yeah.
were going to get into it heavily in the Dreamlands, but
Oh
we never
man.
got there.
Oh man,
My
that sounds
favorite,
great.
my favorite part of that
And
was being a foil to Lindsay's character because my character was a bastard. There's no other way to say it. He was a
Oh yeah.
bastard.
But he's her
We
favorite
go
bastard.
into that survey office, and then I say I'm locking the door, and like Pat's eyes are like, I don't know what's gonna happen, and Lindsay's like, Jesus Christ, I hope this doesn't go bad.
Here we go.
those were my eyes the majority of that. I was, like Ian was saying the other day, I was kind of piloting with one hand because there were so many times I was like, oh man, we're going off the rails here. But, it was working out, I think.
I landed a burning plane. That was pretty rad.
You did.
I did.
I think you rolled
I
like
had
a
a
2 to land
monster.
that thing. You rolled hot.
I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like a 2 or a 3 or something. I was like, hell yeah. There you go.
I'm sorry, Lindsay. Like after the fact, I think I divulged to you, like, yeah, had you decided to drive your own plane and let these guys sit, in whatever plane this is, you would have had a dogfight with those night haunts in the air with your
I was like,
plane.
mother.
You're like, son of a bitch!
I was like, that would have been so cool. But it's also just ridiculous that you're like, if you had flown your own plane, like it's ridiculous. It's great though. I love it. I have to say one of my favorite moments was actually in Children of Fear. And like we had mentioned, Zach had created this Gaunt character, and he had presented characters with objects that basically dark
Cursed.
objects in a way. Yes, cursed objects. And my character's brother, whom she was very close with, like I said, she was a nurse in the war, and her brother was actually a war photographer. And so, in a dream, she was given this camera, and then it manifest in reality. And there was a moment with the with Tenzin, which is a character we mentioned earlier as well, who was kind of our guide, spiritual guide as well. And she went to him about it, and he teaches her how to meditate, basically. And it was a way for her she was trying to find a way to disconnect herself from this very, obviously very cursed item and manifest into this really awesome moment of something that I hadn't even realized about my character that I think Zach had realized, which was kind of a codependency with her brother, and like this relationship that she wasn't really living for herself. I don't know if that's what you intended, Zach, but that's how
It
I
was one of my
interpreted
favorite. It is my favorite
Um,
moment of that whole campaign.
It was amazing. It was
It was
great.
the most growth of any character I think I've I don't know, RP'd
Also,
with.
that camera was mean as crap. It was like basically 1930s Polaroid, but it showed evil crap.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was constantly like, death threats from, it was showing my brother in horrible situations. It was sending me, it would give me a photo, a very disturbing photo, and on the back there would always usually be some kind of note from Gaunt. You know, usually vaguely threatening, you know, in that way. But yeah, that's probably one of my favorite moments, I think, so far.
yeah, I will say I went back recently to start reading our Children of Fear campaign, and it's still a fun read. It's almost nostalgic in looking at it. I just wish I could save my page or wherever I'm at while I'm reading it. It's a lot of scrolling.
Oh yeah.
Okay, RC, I didn't want to leave you out of that. You have any follow-ups?
I'm really just waiting to get more into it. That I feel like I've missed out on a bunch of the campaigns because I guess I'm the latecomer because I think Brian started a little bit before me.
Man, not much. I'm really glad that you
Yeah,
came at the
I'm
same
just waiting
time.
for new opportunities to see how all this plays out.
Well, as I've told Zach before, but I do intend to try and run Pulp something this summer whenever I get back from my outages. So I was thinking it'll probably be Two-Headed Serpent because I was enjoying the hell out of it, and we didn't get to finish. So
Yay.
I'm totally fine with a continuation of Two-Headed Serpent. Still have my
So do I.
character sheet ready to go.
Now, with the players involved, would they want to continue where we left off, or would y'all want a restart?
That's more of a conversation at the time. We might need to adjust.
Yeah. All right, but I think that's was that everybody got off their chest all your Call of Cthulhu related topics.
I have one thing.
Mhm.
I really love Call of Cthulhu. It's my favorite.
No, it's definitely my favorite. I think everyone should try it out. I think in terms of like dollar value, the books you get from them are 10 times better than whatever Wizards of the Coast is giving you. Okay, I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight, and this is Ask the GM's podcast. Join us next week when we cover the OSR and Dungeon Crawl Classics.